is presented by the Florida High School Athletic Association and the Florida Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Bowling is a sport that will last you a lifetime, and at Cordova Lanes on Airport Boulevard, every night there is something exciting happening. Like on Tuesday and Thursday, it's penny a pin. Bowl 100, pay $1. Or how about starting your weekend off right by reserving a lane for just $25 at Moonlight Bowling. Enjoy a fresh-made pizza and the lowest pitcher prices in Pensacola. So what are you waiting for? It's time to roll your way into Cordova Lanes and experience fun like never before.
When working at a growing business, you wear many hats. The new business hat, the buying toner for the copy machine hat, the sifting through tons of resumes hat. You can throw away that last hat thanks to Indeed.com. When posting your job, Indeed lets you add screener questions that give you a less time-consuming route to your short list of qualified candidates. So go ahead, dust off that extra long lunch hat. Hiring's better when you've got your short list. Save time on hiring when you post a job on Indeed. Get started today at Indeed.com/hire.
Hey, this is Cole from Commander Air, and we're your local Daikin Comfort pros. Trust is hard to come by these days. At Commander Air, we have over 54 years of building and earning your trust. From each trained, certified technician to the state-of-the-art Daikin units we install, Daikin systems come with a trustworthy 12-year parts warranty. Commander Air has 3 generations of trust built on dependability, knowledge, and outstanding service. Come check out our new AC showroom at the intersection of Highway 29 and 9 Mile Road. Commander Air, your hometown heating and cooling specialist for 3 generations.
This is Pensacola's hometown all-sports station and home of the Blue Wahoos, ESPN Pensacola 94.5. Catch all the Wahoos games home and away all season, plus all the latest Wahoos news from Chad Brilliante on the Sports Drive, 5 till game time weeknights. And hey, if your business would like to partner with us as an advertiser or with a local sports promotion, then give us a call at 850-262-6000 or shoot us an email from the advertise page on ESPNpensacola.com.
Throws up the middle. At the 40. Derek Brooks 30. Brooks to the 29. He's getting Derek Brooks all the way. Touchdown Tampa Bay. Derek Brooks, the dagger's in. We're going to win the Super Bowl.
Another Watson is wearing a green jacket, and this time his name is Bubba.
Pitch on the way. Russell drives one in the air. Deep left center. That's back near the wall. It's got a chance. Grand slam. Grand slam, Addison Russell.
The new WBA heavyweight champion of the world, Roy Jones Jr.
And Richardson breaks free on the sideline. End zone. How about that? Bama scores on a 34-yard touchdown run by the Doak Walker Award winner, Trick Richardson, who broke a lot of Emmett Smith's records back in Pensacola, Florida.
And these them Louisiana, Pensacola guys, they looking crazy and all that.
Morris, blocked by the tight end call. That opens up the door. Breaking the Cambridge tackle. To the pylon. Touchdown.
Really nice effort there by Alfred Morris, extending that ball over the goal line.
Near side ball is that big game. Doug Baldwin's got a first down. Doug Baldwin, 93 yards, now has back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons.
Reggie Evans, and he's going to get an ovation. Guy from Pensacola, Florida.
And welcome into the Sports Drive right here on ESPN Pensacola 94.5 Blab TV. I'm Chad Brilliante alongside Jordan Glass. Nice to be relaxed today. You know, I didn't have to show up in anything crazy.
Right, you came in wearing shorts, and I was
that's
like,
right.
what
It's the
is
first
going
time in a
on?
while, and I'm representing the Patriots right here.
Yeah, we'll ignore that.
It's a good look right now. But, you know, some guy, no joke, we were over at Peg Leg Pete's this week, and like 3 kids yelled out of the car, you know,
look at you, dirtbag, with the Patriots. And they're all laughing. And I'm like, you know what? It's fun to laugh at somebody that is way better than you. And I'm not saying me. Those kids probably were a lot better than me. But at the same part is when you're yelling at a champion, it just feels good. You know, as the Alabama Crimson Tide have been hated by the world for a long time. But it's nice to be hated when you're on the top.
Yeah.
Dabo Swinney doesn't care what people think of his antics and what he does when you're a champion. Kevin Durant doesn't care what you think of his press conferences or if he's a weird dude as a champion. Today's whole story, are the Golden State Warriors better, and is this going to ruin Kevin Durant's legacy if they win? No, it's called the dude was dropping 50 points a game pretty much, and then all of a sudden they were good enough to win without him. That's saying more about the NBA quality. If you ask me, that's what's. I mean, if Tom Brady goes out at this point in his career, and a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo, sounds like something you get checked at the infirmary. Son, sit down. You have Garoppolo. No, I didn't want it. It's okay. You shouldn't have gone out with Don. But here's the difference. When you look at somebody like Tom Brady, if somebody goes in there and wins a Super Bowl, Matt Castle went 11-5 in this. That's great. It says a lot about Bill Belichick. When Carson Wentz had his MVP season, that didn't take away when he got hurt, that Nick Foles stepped in, had a little Foles magic, and went on to win the Super Bowl.
Right. Yeah.
That doesn't mean Carson Wentz was a bum. Yeah, let's just disregard all those 300-yard passing games, 4 touchdowns. It means nothing. It's garbage, man. Look at this guy. This guy did. It doesn't mean that. Sometimes you can have another guy, a Frank Reich, can step in for Jim Kelly and have 300 yards and 4 touchdowns, and it makes him that much better. Jeff Hostetler can step in for Phil Simms and win a Super Bowl. It's part of sports, and it's part of being great. So are the Golden State Warriors better without Kevin Durant? Hell no. I don't drop that here on air much, but come on, dude. Stop being stupid. But at the same time, can they win without him? That's showing less of the NBA right now and overall who can win. We're going to get to more on this today. We're also a sad weekend overall, and today Bill Buckner, somebody that finally got to shake some hands and be there at Boston, passing away. But a sad weekend overall. Rod Bramlett, one of the nicest guys in the world. I had a chance to meet him when Auburn was playing softball down here in a game when they were taking on South Alabama, and I had a chance to call the game for South Alabama before that. But Rod was one of these kind of guys that, throughout the years, talking with Pat Dye, we did some shows with Cole Kublik and Reggie Slack and some of the guys from Auburn. Nicest guy in the world. And, man, the one thing in life, and Bart Starr passed as well, a Wisconsin assistant coach had a horrible day as well. It's been a tough week, especially on Memorial Day week. As we say, we'd like to offer all of our thoughts to any family members who have had loved ones pass away, because that's what it's about. A lot of people don't understand. It's not the people that lived as veterans until they're 91 and passed away. It is about the people that died in war, that died for us, fighting for our freedom. That's what Memorial Day is celebrating. We have the freedom to talk today about what we do and watch the Red Sox on TV and do a show because of what our friends, family members, loved ones did for us, fighting for us, and good people, great people, which makes this country the best. But we lost a lot of good people this week, and Rod was one of them. The Kick Six is one we'll always remember, but man, it's been a tough week, and you never want to see, no matter what, as a dad of a 3-year-old daughter, lovely wife, have a bunch of girls at home. So it's an all-girl household right now, outnumbered. But the difference is, you just never want to see somebody go out early when they didn't have to, no matter what it is. Some people do it to themselves with drugs or selfies on the Golden Gate Bridge, but when you hear about a car accident and things like that, it's just so sad because you never know. Because you know in the back of your mind, when you start thinking of things like cancer or AIDS or things that people go through, most of the people are thinking to themselves, well, at least that's not me. I'm thank God it's not me. But when you hear about something like this, and most of our listeners right now, listening in on this Memorial Day week, are listening in the car.
Right, yeah.
And it could happen to you at any time. At any time. And we always think it has to be about us. And we always live in a society, too, where we want to put guilt on people. Watch one of the People's Court, some of that crap, where the guy's like, he is suing his friend for stealing his sprinkler idea. His irrigation looked great. He's suing him for $130. I'm like, what is going on with this show? But the difference about that show is it just goes self-entitlement. People get so, well, I can't believe this person did this to me. I can't believe that person did it's like people's ego want to win today. That's what we're all about in our society. Look at our president. I mean, look, I love our president, the way he talks. I like what he's done. No nonsense. But also, we live in an ego-driven world. That's pretty clear. No matter what you think of our president, the ego is about as high as it gets. Now, the difference, though, is when you talk right now about people's ego, we always want someone to blame. If something happens, we want to find guilt. We want to find, it's like those movies, I'll never forgive you. When something like this happens, there's nobody to turn to. The family, the Bramlett family, his mom, his dad, her mom, her dad, uncles, cousins, brothers, they can all be angry. But it doesn't matter what happened in that accident. It doesn't matter if the guy was swerving through the lanes at 100 and went into their lane, or if he went up the sidewalk and hit a post. It doesn't matter at this point because they're no longer here. And I think that's something that we all can relate to. So when you see something like that, and yes, Bart Starr passed away, and so many passed away. My grandmother's dealing with late-stage dementia right now, and reading that today with Bill Buckner was pretty tough. Bill Buckner passing away at the age of 69. But with the story of Rod Bramlett, happy-go-lucky guy, and his family getting in a wreck. Just, Jordan, a very tough one to hear today.
Oh, absolutely, and I think the another thing that's kind of making this difficult is when something like this happens, it's human nature to want to know why. You know, what happened? We want to know every little detail, and right now, the last I've heard and the most recent information that I've gotten is that all we know is that they were in a Highlander, they got rear-ended by a Jeep Cherokee. That's all the information we're getting. So that makes it even worse when, you want to know why. You want to know what happened because this is something that, like you said, this is not like he'd been sick for a while. This was sudden, overnight. This was an accident. They were out, they're in Auburn having a great night out together in Auburn, driving through the city. And, unfortunately, this tragedy happens. And, a lot of people are going to want to know why. A lot of Auburn fans are going to want to know exactly what happened because, you want details in a situation like this. So it's very sad, and just thoughts and prayers are out with not only the Bramlett family, but the Starr family and all the families that have been affected. And of course, the Wisconsin coast. That might be the saddest one of them all.
That's really sad as well. And hearing about that, we'll get to that. Auburn's kick six. It's one that a lot of people, Alabama fans, don't want to hear. But one of the calls heard around the world. One of the ones that because college football in the South affects so many people. It's one of those, we can talk what we want here in the South,
right? But
college football is watched all around the nation. When I lived in Boston, Las Vegas, no matter where I lived, Orlando, which really isn't SEC, it's still, we have our own fake national title there. But when it comes down to it, no matter where you go, SEC football is king. It's very similar to, that hockey is more important in the Northeast. Boston, folks even a little bit closer in, like Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, the New Jersey Devils, New York Rangers, you go north of the border to Edmonton, to Toronto, it means more than what you get at the Florida Panthers game. Even though that guy is awesome announcing, make me a bicycle clown. But at the same time, you realize that's what it is. The South is always going to be that way. And I'm not saying the Big Ten, the Big 12 country, Pac-12, you got fans all over. The ACC, they're fans, but it's different. It's just like ACC basketball. You get all the great coaches in the world. Bruce Pearl can go on an incredible tear for Auburn. It's not going to mean the same as if North Carolina or Duke did it. It just never will because of culture and what it's happened that way. And when you look right now, kick six was one of those that is always going to be remembered as that call from Rod Bramlett. And a lot of us heard it on CBS. Gary and Vern making the call. But to many Auburn faithful, they heard this.
So I guess if this thing comes up short, he can field it and run it out. All right, here we go. 56-yarder. Does not have the leg. And Chris Davis takes it in the back of the end zone. He'll run it out to the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 45. There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game. Auburn's going to win the football game. He ran the missed field goal back. He ran it back 109 yards. They're not going to keep him off the field tonight. Holy cow. Oh, my God. Auburn wins. Auburn has won the Iron Bowl. Auburn has won the Iron Bowl in the most unbelievable fashion you will ever see. I cannot believe it. 34-28. And we thought a miracle at Jordan Hare was amazing. Oh, my Lord in heaven. Chris Davis just read it. 109 yards, and Auburn is going to the championship game.
You know, in that moment right there, too, it just shows you sports in general, how much it can mean. Yeah. And that's why getting involved in sports, and as you get older and going through things and losing loved ones and sitting there for over 3 months and watching our baby with monitors in the NICU go through surgeries and, surviving what she has and everything that's gone through in life, in my life, I'm getting an opportunity to watch her to cut the ribbon there with Bubba Watson, with Quinn Studer and the folks at the opening of the new Children's Hospital at Sacred Heart was so big. It was that means more than Tom Brady and all of his Super Bowl rings and all that, obviously. But when it comes down to moments like this, those moments, all the folks in Auburn will never forget that.
Right. Yeah.
You might forget a dinner or two. You might forget, your kid's dance recital. Literally, oh crap, that was tonight. I should have been there. She's gonna be pissed. But when it comes down to moments like that, you'll always remember as a fan, together, collectively. And Rob Bramlett will always be part of that. He was a friend, a mentor to so many, a united voice for so many people, and such a good person, too. And you can't always say that. There are a lot of people that Chris Bermans of the world and a lot of people that, they back, do all their things, but not the greatest of human beings. Rob Bramlett was a great human being. And, it's sad to have to see him and so many people this week go through what they did.
Yeah, and I was going to say that has to be one of the top plays of the last decade and the top play causes. And a matter of fact, with Sports Call, which, by the way, you can now hear myself and Davis Allen do on Saturdays here on ESPN Pensacola 945. It actually started on our sister station, News Radio, and I had a produced intro, as most shows do, and the
mine's like 6 minutes long.
Well, mine was close to that because I actually had that call by Rod as part of the intro. It would basically just kind of intro, say that Sports Call was starting now, and then it would kind of flow into this and it would flow into that play because it was such a huge monumental moment in not just college football but sports in general because of what was riding on that game. I mean, the winner of that game went to play in the SEC championship game, and if I'm not mistaken on that, the winner of that game actually also would have been in the national title had they won the SEC. Auburn goes on to win it. They play Florida State in the national title in the Rose Bowl. So there was a lot riding on that game. So it wasn't just a great play. There was a lot riding on that one play.
Locally, some of the headlines this week: the Wahoos returned home with the best record in the Southern League, getting that victory, now 31-20. They were able to win 11-10. If you caught the game yesterday on ESPN Pensacola 94.5, and Chris Garagiola will join us coming up at 6:15 on the show today. He's got one of those rare days off, so what did I do? Ask him to jump on our show. He's like, thank you. I finally don't have to talk. And like, hey, Chris, you want to come on? But, hey, we're here. My family's out barbecuing right now on the water, so they said they would save me a hamburger. It's not the same, though. You know what I'm saying? Sitting on a pontoon boat with, the kids and the family,
right? Yeah,
fishing off the dock there with a couple cold ones. We'll bring you a burger home. It's nice, and it's not theirs. That's a nice family for them to do that, but it's just not the same appeal. You know what I'm saying? It does the amenity. But Jordan, I get to spend it with you, so it's different. When you look right now at the Wahoos, they come in with the best record. It'll be Fat Tuesday tomorrow, so it is going to be an awesome time, and look forward to being out there throughout the day. So it is going to be awesome. We're going to have Chris on the show. Also, UWF softball, their season ended on Friday night. We were doing the show. Great season overall, though, Jordan. Your alma mater, a team that had a chance to go to Denver, the Mile High City, and get a chance to make a good run in the College Softball World Series Division II. It was great to see.
Yeah, and it was, it's a tough time for them to kind of, just fall out of this the way they did. And you kind of look at the regionals. They fell behind in the regionals, were able to fight back in the super regionals and advance to Colorado. And you thought maybe they would have an opportunity to do this, but for them to come up just short, it sucks. It's disappointing, but, man, a heck of a year for them overall.
And then looking as well, the NBA Finals will begin Thursday. Toronto's first time Golden State, remember, when you play them, make sure to bring your passports. You don't want to get out there. Steph Curry could not play tonight. He actually forgot to check in here through customs. That is something the Blue Jays have to deal with a lot. And, hey, it's just, it's part of being in a different country. Ask John Candy and Canadian Bacon. Looking at NHL Stanley Cup Game 1 tonight, a little bit different of stories. The St. Louis Blues have waited, forever to get here. The last time they were in an NHL Stanley Cup was actually about 40 years ago, and it was facing the Boston Bruins, who swept them. But they're playing with a little bit different appeal, and sometimes when teams are hungry and they get rolling at the right time, they're a lot scarier. We all know that in sports. Sometimes they're just riding that wave, then they're feeling the flow. It's circular happy, and right now, that is that team. They're in their happy place. St. Louis had the worst record. Get this, folks. The worst record in all the NHL, behind the Arizona Coyotes, all those stories, and they go out there now and are in the Stanley Cup Finals. And Jim McElwain's somewhere crying. San Jose Sharks didn't make it. But you look right now, Jordan, at the situation. Both of these teams, and I know this is sort of the obvious, this is a Bill Walton statement, one of those kind of statements where he's like, tonight, under the Golden Arches, I am seeing colors. I had a dog park earlier, and they were just beautiful. There was a Dalmatian, a dog with multi-breed, and I think tonight whoever wins this game with both these teams is going to get the victory. And you're like, all right, it's halftime here, and like just let Bill go. Grateful Dead style. When you talk about tonight's game, they are both playing great hockey. And I know when I say that, they're in the Stanley Cup for a reason.
Right.
But they are playing the type of hockey at the end, the way that they finished the series. They didn't win a bunch of overtime games 4-3. Boston swept through the Carolina Panthers. Rocked them like a hurricane. And then you had another team like the St. Louis Blues who, against the ropes, dominated the last few games, got better and better. They're playing their best hockey now, and it's going to be great to see. 7 o'clock tonight. St. Louis Blues, Boston Bruins. I'll be watching coming up here after the show.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And like you said, it's kind of that cliche in sports. It doesn't matter how you start, it's how you finish. Mm-hmm. These two teams are finishing great, and they have a chance to win the Lord Stanley's Cup because of that and get started tonight. I'm tending more to leaning towards Boston in this series simply because of what we talked about on Friday with if Boston is able to win this series, you've got a situation in all of professional sports where the Red Sox won the World Series, the Patriots won the Super Bowl, and then, of course, you would have the Bruins win the Stanley Cup, so that you would have a nice little trio there. And that's something that's fun and nice to see, especially with us doing what we do. That definitely gives us something we can talk about the next day on the air after they would win it.
Don't try to lie. When more Boston teams win, as you can see, the shows, you can check us out on Facebook or YouTube with my Patriots shirt on today. Could go casual, didn't have to dress up. Don't lie, Jordan. When more Patriot teams win or more Boston teams win, it's just more crap that you guys have to deal with. Not one of you is actually truly rooting for UCF to win fake national titles or any of the Patriots to win. I have been there and been mocked when the Patriot. Not one person, if you're not a Patriot fan, is rooting for the Patriots, and you know what? Good for that. If you're not an Alabama fan, you don't root for the Crimson Tide either. But you know what? About 50% of our audience out there Roll Tide in it right now. They don't give a you-know-what. And they shouldn't because they're fans of that team. And that's how it should be. And not everybody, but myself and them, can celebrate national titles in their own way. There's our reel. When we come back, we're going to talk some more about what's going on here with some of the big games coming up here. Bart Starr will get some more on that guy that was such a big part of college football and also the NFL and what he did under Vince Lombardi. Was at one point the most Super Bowls in the history of any quarterback that has been passed by one guy who likes to play football. So we're coming back for more right here in the Sports Drive.
I'm Troy Rafferty, and many of you know about my love for sports and my longtime support for our local high school athletes. One thing these fine young people have taught me over the years is this: whether it's on the ball field, in the classroom, or in a court of law, always work your hardest and achieve the best results possible. And that is the commitment we make to our clients and our community.
Levin Papantonio in Pensacola since 1955.
Paul Feinbaum here for the Southeast leader for cranes and equipment rental, Craneworks. The Craneworks team in Nashville, Birmingham, and Mobile is ready to make your next construction or maintenance project a big success. Give Craneworks a call for your next lift, machinery moving, or rigging project. And don't forget, RentalWorks has a full line of rental equipment for jobs both big and small, and now offering qualified operators for all equipment, including aerial and earth moving equipment. Call Craneworks at 877-282-LIFT or visit them on the web at craneworks.com.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
What? What about our plan to win the lottery and start living? You know, travel the world on matching yachts, wear enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacation on the French Riviera, and then buy it.
You know we're never going to win the lottery, right?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs, the Florida Society of CPAs, and the Ad Council.
Devotion doesn't settle. It doesn't stop at good enough. Devotion goes the extra mile. That's why when you shop the incredible selection of Pandora jewelry at Jared from December 6th through 10th, we'll include a free limited edition sterling silver bangle with any Pandora purchase of $125 or more. Because devotion deserves a little something extra. Just shop our Pandora collections online or find a store near you at jared.com and dare to be devoted.
ESPN Pensacola 94.5 is all sports all the time. Talk football year-round with local sports legend Coach K. From quarterbacking the Pensacola High Tigers to coaching the Buffalo Bills, Coach K's life has been all about the game, the teams, the players, and the coaches. Talk football with Coach K at noon on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
The year was 1919. Barbasol shaving cream was invented by a dreamer named Frank Shields. The world's first modern shave cream, Barbasol changed the face of shaving forever. A few billion shaves later, Frank's dream lives on. Behind every face is a dream. Barbasol proudly salutes every fearless, self-assured, wide-eyed dreamer all across America. Celebrating 100 years. Barbasol.
And welcome back. Sports Drive with you right here. ESPN Pensacola 94.5 Blab TV. Chad Brillante, Jordan Glass with you here. You can be part of the show if you're off on your Memorial Day and you're listening to us, having some fun. Get to so many different stories going on. We are on May 27th. It's feeling like summer out there. And, when you're a homeowner and you have grass, today I went home and mowed the lawn and looking at some of those dry spots. And I was saying, you know what? It's a little different. Because in college or things like that, you're going to the beach, you don't want it to rain. You don't want to ruin your day, But I'm waiting for some rain. Mother Nature needs to give us a nasty storm. Not Noah's Ark style, but, just give us some rain because, Jordan, I'm telling you what. I was sitting out there today, and I'm not old enough. You see, look, grandpaps, or maybe you do this too, and you got more time and you're a better human being. But the people that are out there just sitting there with the sprinklers, not the sprinklers, but the hose. Jordan, you've seen it.
Yeah.
And they're just hosing down each spot. And they might own an acre, and they're out there with their extension, and they're out there like a couple dry spots, and they're 100 acres, and they're out there, and I'm like, gosh, they have a lot of time, or they're that worried. And you know what? Good for you. You got the greenest grass, your green acres. And today I did that. I was that guy because I watched 3 people driving home doing it, and I was like, I'll be that guy. So I did that. I was so annoyed after about 30 seconds. I'm like, what has happened here? Spending 30 minutes with a hose, standing over a dry piece of grass that needs to be grown right now. Where is the rain? So I'm trying to ruin everybody's week if you're going to the beach and get a ton of rain because we need it. And our grass and our sprinkler system is not doing its justice. The bill is, but they're not. It's not doing it. I have to go by Lowe's and get a new head, by the way, in a little while right there. So, Jordan, that was an important topic for sports. Let's get into some of the other ones going on right now. Looking right now, NHL Stanley Cup and NBA Finals. Who do you got?
A while ago I said I was pulling for Boston because of that trifecta, but I think the Blues actually pull this one off. I think the Bruins have played really well, but the problem is they swept through Carolina. They've been sitting for a while. Mm-hmm. The Blues have been playing a little bit more recent since they have, and I think because of that, the Blues are going to be, they're not going to have that rust that the Bruins are going to have early on. I think they're going to get a couple of games early. That's going to be the difference in the series.
I hate doing this, but I think the Blues win as well, and watching it, I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I do feel like the Blues are going to to win it. They're just playing this kind of the way they went and dominated 5-0 in San Jose.
Yeah.
They started to ride that wave, and they're looking to play their best hockey. Scott Barry is hoping they win too. Who is Scott? He's a casual salesman, not listening to the show because he lives in St. Louis. Or if you do, Scott, thank you for doing that. You're also, it's a little creepy or weird why you have Pensacola radio, unless you have ties to this area, and why this is your show. If this is your show, that's great. But if you're randomly like, no, I just get home from Big Sky, Montana, and tune in the Sports Drive right there in Pensacola. Just check them out right there. I'm a huge Montana Grizzlies fan, but I'd love to hear what the Wahoos are up to, said nobody. But looking at Scott Barry, a casual salesman who, in Vegas 4 months ago, St. Louis was dead last. They had worse odds than the Arizona Coyotes, and they were sitting there. He put $400. Now, he won it in blackjack. You're thinking, okay, that's a waste of money. Could have done that. Could have given that to many, Manifood Drive, or done whatever.
Yeah.
$400. He won in blackjack. So it wasn't money lost. It was money earned. And he said, why not? So he put $400 on the Blues. He actually put $100 on the Cardinals, too. That is probably not going to happen after their bullpen blew it last night against the Braves. I was watching that one. The St. Louis Blues were at 250 to 1 odds. That is the worst odds. If he wins, he has $100,000 from a $400 blackjack bet that he never started the week. Now, this guy's your regular salesman. He was out there for a conference over the weekend. He wasn't out there hanging out with James Bond, shaking not stirred, fist pumping at the club at the Cosmo. He wasn't hanging out with all Siesta and all these people jumping around and partying like those videos of what you see in the movies. No tigers in the penthouse at the Caesars Palace with Mike Tyson. None of that was happening. What was happening is he's got a chance to win a couple years' salary over this. And he's been offered $20,000 when they were going into the Western Conference Finals. Now, for the quick math, there's a thing called hedging out there. And something I need to do with my lawn. But hedging is you can take your bet if you know you're about to win $100,000 and your investment was $400,000. This doesn't take some kind of investment broker. It doesn't take some guy that has to break it down. But you could take right now, because the Bruins are going out at minus 150 in the odds to win.
Right.
So you could put $64,000 to win $40,000 on the Bruins. So if you won the Bruins, you'd win $40,000. You'd lose $400 from your original bet. So you'd be at $39,600. So $39,600 is yours. You win. If you just take the Bruins right now, on the other side, if St. Louis wins, you'd lose the $64,000 that you hedged on the Bruins. And some guy out there is like, is this idiot talking about hedging right now? I'm explaining it to the normal people out there. If you know this, just go with it, all right? Like, just wasting 20 seconds of my life. $64,000, you would lose that, and you'd make $36,000 on the Blues. So, Jordan, I'm asking you this question. We build up.
Okay.
At this point, he's been offered $40,000 for the ticket, just to have it. Would you hedge, take the $40,000, or go all in, where you're a guy that needs this money, so you can walk with either $36,000 or $39.6 thousand, no matter what, by making that bet, or you could take the $40,000 from a friend, or you could just ride it all out and try to win the $100,000 if the Blues win. What is your move?
For me, I'd risk it on the Blues.
Okay.
I'm gonna risk it. $100,000. Why not risk it?
That is such a load of crack. Like, this is such a. The reason I just said crack on air is because I was thinking of another word and I didn't cuss on air. So I was about to say about 3 things that got me in trouble there. But that is such a load. That's all I'm going to say on that.
It's not the smart decision,
listen. So you would pass on a year's worth of salary and maybe say adios, senor. Hey, it was great working with you, Chad, but I'm going to take a little break on a pontoon. Maybe try to double this up on the roulette wheel on red tonight. I'm telling you what. $36,000 or $39.6 is guaranteed. Or you go with the $100,000, or you could take what is the person. Well, if the guy's offering you $40,000, you better take the $40,000 over the $30,000. It's just stupid math, even if it's $400. At this point, though, tomorrow, if the Bruins win tonight, which they're favorite at home, if they win tonight, though, all of this goes by the wayside because the odds for the Bruins to win is going to almost double. It's going to go to like minus 275 tomorrow. And you're not going to get those odds, and you're not going to have that shot. And that guy's not going to take the ticket from you for $40,000. So after tonight, it is over. And all this is hypothetical because you get nothing but wasting your gas driving home to talk about it, Jordan. But I'm telling you, right now.
You've changed my mind. I'll take the 40,000.
I would take the guy's bet 40,000.
You mentioned having a year off and just spending that year on a
That's
boxing
right.
boat.
That's what I'm saying.
You changed my mind.
When you get to a point where if you don't need the money, or if you're a millionaire, you definitely let it ride. You're like, all right, it's more cool of a story to win. It's sort of a weakling story. You got no balls, no cojones if you go out there and you take this. That's not like this is a story that's made national headlines from a guy who's a casual salesman that just went to Vegas and got lucky. But at the same time, this would be a great story if he won.
Oh, yeah.
They had the worst odds. They were dead last in all the NHL when he made this bet. And they went on a crazy tear. And it's their first ever. They have 0 Stanley Cup finals. They have 0 Stanley Cups to their name. So in this case, I would go for it if I had the money. I do not, so I would go ahead and take the 40 grand. When we come back, we'll talk to Brent Baird. He will talk some more about what's going on with the SEC baseball tournament, some classic games, classic finishes over the week as well, including that Vanderbilt game against Ole Miss. What a comeback. And we're going to talk some more with Brent coming back right here in the Sports Drive.
Make new memories this summer at Harley-Davidson of Pensacola. Owning a Harley is easier and more affordable than ever because at Harley-Davidson of Pensacola, they say WTF. That's right, they are willing to finance. Bad credit, no problem. The Harley-Davidson experts will get you financed. Discover your inner child again with the freedom that owning a Harley brings. Harley-Davidson of Pensacola. Let's ride.
Experienced truck drivers. Are you searching for a company that will let you pick the kind of driving job you want? At Schneider, professionals personalize their careers by choosing from 38 different types of driving positions. That means a better career to fit your lifestyle. If you want even more choice, Schneider drivers can also choose from over 50 unique dedicated accounts. Enjoy experienced driver pay, the respect you deserve, and choices that only Schneider can offer. Find out for yourself at SchneiderJobs.com. That's SchneiderJobs.com.
There's a lot going on right now, and broadcasters are on the ground, covering all of it, bringing you the weather, the traffic, and breaking news, all while entertaining you 24 hours a day. Someone needs to tell you what's going on around the world and in our hometowns, and that someone is us. We are free radio. We are always there. We are broadcasters. Visit wearebroadcasters.com or text radio to 52886 to learn more. Furnished by NAB and this station.
For the thousands of wounded warriors returning from battle, Wounded Warrior Project has developed the Warriors to Work program, a unique program that helps wounded warriors translate their military experience to the civilian workplace. The Warriors to Work program also works with companies to find the right job for the right warrior. Contact Wounded Warrior Project at findwwp.org. Welcome home the brave.
New Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline is engineered with 4 levels of defense against gunk, wear, corrosion, and friction. It's sort of like having ninjas protect your engine. That helps keep your engine running like new. New Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline. It's fuel for thought in engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline.
Hear ye, hear ye. I bringeth thee a message from... a message from the king and his new trumpeter, Stephen. The king wishes me to convey his favor to thine team and thine tailgate. Not yet. He invites thee to let the Bud Light flow forth. And he also wishes me to tell thee that he toasts thee. Waiteth until the end, Stephen! With game day's favorite light lager and the slogan of his kingdom... Oh, dilly dilly. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, AB, St. Louis, Missouri.
And welcome back to the Sports Drive right here on ESPN Pensacola 94.5. Chad Brilliante with you here, Jordan Glass on this Memorial Day. We'd like to thank all of our men and women who fought for this country and lost their lives in battle. A reminder today on Memorial Day, and it should be every day, that we are blessed to live in an opportunity where so many people will go to bat for us each and every day, sacrificing their lives so we can have the freedom to do things like talk sports on a daily basis. It's been a tough week overall in the world of sports, from Rod Bramlett passing away and his family in just a terrible accident. Wisconsin assistant basketball coach as well, dealing with the situation of what happened right there with Howard Moore. Bart Starr passing away at the age of 85, and also a situation today with Bill Buckner, 69 years old, late-stage dementia right there, passing away. It was known as for that error, but also a guy that had a great career for 20 years in Major League Baseball. Joining us now, somebody that's covered sports throughout the years, and I'm sure it was very tough to hear the news of Rod Bramlett, and somebody covering sports here in the SEC in the South. Joining us is Brent Baird of College Sports Notebook. Brent, we appreciate your time.
Yeah, happy Memorial Day to everyone, and certainly concur with what you just said about appreciate what our military has done for us and is continuing to do for us to keep us safe. It was a difficult weekend, to say the least, when you lose the people that we did, and that was just nonsensical in so many ways. I don't know, it's just hard to figure these things out, but one thing I was glad to see, there is a GoFundMe for the Bramlett children. The goal is $100,000. They've already raised $80,000, Chad. So hopefully that will be something done for them. What we also know is the services for the Bramlett will be on Thursday at the Auburn Arena. So certainly our prayers continue for their family and for Auburn in general.
Brent, when you look right now at the kick six, the call of that by Rod Bramlett, and you've got a chance to hear some of the best, and throughout the years, we were here at the Florida Sports Hall of Fame in Pensacola watching Mick Huber walk across the stage and honored in the Hall of Fame for the state of Florida, the Florida Gator announcer, Gene Deckerhoff, and what he's meant to the Seminoles, Eli Gold, and Alabama, and just so many big names throughout the years. But talk about where that will rank as moments that people remember in the SEC on play calls.
Well, I mean, as far as Bramlett, it will likely be the number one for him, but still there are a lot of other calls. I mean, some of the calls that he made with Auburn going to the Final Four this year were tremendous, and I think it will be interesting to see who they get to be their play-by-play guy. Chad, you probably remember Jim Fife, who was renowned before Bramlett started. Also had an untimely death himself. Play-by-play guys are very meaningful for fans, regardless of who the team is. If they get a guy in there who just kind of gels and has some of these signature calls, I think Mick Huber has done that at Florida. Gene Deckerhoff for years at Miami. At Florida State has done the same. The play-by-play guy is very valuable for fans. And Bramlett also, Rod did something you don't see that much anymore, Chad. He did football, basketball, and baseball. So the guy who does all three is a dying breed, frankly.
Looking right now, the NCAA announcing the college baseball field after that crazy victory by Vanderbilt over Ole Miss in the title game. That was exciting and a great comeback, just showing you how talented these teams can be. And in college baseball, anything can happen at any given time. Looking right now at the 10 teams that have made the field now, with Vanderbilt, Georgia, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, LSU, Texas A&M,
Auburn and Florida making it right there. Looking at that squad of teams out of the SEC, Brent, who do you believe has the best shot to go all the way this year at Omaha?
Vanderbilt. But Vanderbilt with Tim Corbin has just been unbelievable. I mean, to come back and win the way that they did. But with that said, and while they're a complete team, I don't think you can overlook what Georgia's done. Georgia's number 4 overall seed, and Georgia Tech, I believe, was a 3 overall seed, which is amazing for the state of Georgia. Now, for what we cover, really glad to see Florida State, and Miami all in. We did not have, matter of fact, it was the first time in quite a while that none of the big three had a home regional. They're all having to travel. But, Chad, at the same time, and I know some people will argue about it, but I think Florida deserved to be in, even though they didn't have a winning conference record. I mean, their RPI was in the 20s. I can't complain about having Florida State in and Mike Martin after 40 years and being in there one more time. And obviously Miami getting in too. But I thought of you as, unfortunately, that Banal,
yes,
that UCF was on the last 4 out. So again, on the cusp, just did not get in.
That's all right, Brent. We'll claim it. We'll claim we got in. That's all right. I mean, we didn't get in, but I mean, no, it was tough, and they've come a long way. They did have a great season, but look, every business model, no matter what it is, sports or not, is in it to make money. And a team like Florida or Florida State, especially with the story and the outlook of Mike Martin and could he go, the possibility, it sells more. I mean, overall, the body of work, it's very comparable. But you want to take the big names in any sport. I know it means more in football, but at the same time, baseball, too, wants to take those names. And, I don't blame them for it.
Well, and I think what's important here is people would love to see Mike Martin get on some kind of a run and him get to Omaha. I don't think this is a team that will do that, but, you don't know. And listen, here's the thing with Florida. Chad, those kids, and I use that loosely because they really they have so many freshmen on this team that, look, even if they have the proverbial two in a barbecue, to get those kids in the NCAA baseball tournament and just to have that experience of the practice and just being in a regional, I think that will do wonders for them next year, don't you?
Incredibly, I think it would be awesome, and it'd be something to continue to grow what has been a great team. Looking right now, Brent, I do want to ask this question to you because there's a big difference between being a great football team and being the best roster. John Madden Football or EA Sports, when they created college football back in the day, would rank guys with 99s. Michael Vick was unfair. He would just spin all across the field and you'd score touchdowns every time as a kid. That didn't make Michael Vick the best quarterback. He never made a run when it came to the NFL. When you look right now at the college football landscape, even though Alabama lost last year to Clemson, and Clemson lost a lot of guys on that defensive line of the NFL draft, do you believe in your heart, even though Clemson proved they were the best football team last year in the country, and deservingly so, that they have the best roster in the country, or would you give that to Alabama?
I'd give it. That's almost a coin flip to me. I think Bama is better than they were last year, but people will say, gosh, how is that possible? Well, it is because the offense comes back intact, and look, the defense is going to be better, particularly with Trevon Diggs and some of these guys who are back. And then you've got, I think, better coaches at this point. But yet, on the other hand, most of that Clemson offense comes back. that gave Alabama and everybody else a lot of trouble. I don't know. At this point, let me just say this. To me, they're easily the two best rosters. You've got Georgia, Ohio State, that are in Oklahoma that are up there too. But to me, it would almost be. That's a great question. It would almost be just absolutely splitting hairs. But between Alabama and Clemson, that they're still much better, I think, than anybody else.
Brent, when you look right now at Bart Starr, I didn't grow up with Bart Starr, but I understand the legacy he left playing for Vince Lombardi, his days at Alabama when the game was different, when the game was not about the passing as much, but about the run. But he was a big part of, he'll always be a Crimson Tide, he'll always be part of so many championships, some of the first ones right there for the Green Bay Packers, and what he did for the league. A Hall of Famer and known as one of the best of all time. But for somebody, what do you look back, and what will you remember about Bart Starr?
Well, Bart Starr, growing up in the state of Alabama, was certainly one of my idols in the backyard. We all wanted to be Bart Starr. But see, Starr never wowed you with the stats, but he was your proverbial game manager, and he certainly made plays when they needed to make them. Was not a great player at Alabama, even though Alabama was dear to his heart, but really blossomed when he got to Green Bay. I remember one of the great things that he did with Vince Lombardi. Lombardi embarrassed him one day by calling him out on the field, and Starr took Lombardi aside and said, "Look, I will do anything you want me to do, but do not embarrass me in public. If you have something to say to me, you say it to me in private." And Lombardi never did that again. Starr was a leader, community leader in Birmingham. Sherry, his wife, was the love of his life. He'll really be missed. He was just a consummate professional. We say this a lot, but was a better human than he was a player.
He's Brent Baird of College Sports Notebook, 1010 XL Radio in Jacksonville, the Florida Gator podcast show, Gator Bait Magazine, and also First Coast News in Jacksonville. Brent, we always appreciate your time, especially taking some time here on a holiday on Memorial Day. Thanks for joining us as always, and I wish the best of luck. I know right now the Wahoos are in first and the Jumbo Shrimp are in dead last, so our thoughts go out to you here.
Yeah. Hopefully there'll be a rally there somewhere. And also, Chad, just to mention this to your listeners, starts tomorrow, SEC meetings in Destin. Be a lot of stuff to cover over the next few days. We'll know the first 3 weeks of the TV schedule, and there'll be a lot of fascinating topics to be dealt with everybody in Destin, and can't wait to get that going.
It's a lot of fun. Destin, beautiful, having a chance to live there, part of our audience here. But at the same time, Brent, if you're leaving the house, you might as well take something close if you're around there, because leaving to go get groceries 3 seconds down the road will take 4 hours in traffic these days. So just be careful.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
Yeah, it is. It is not fun right now. Big Kahuna's Water Park. I've thought of jumping the fence, waiting in traffic to just dive inside there, play in the splash pad, come back, and my car would still be parked in the middle of right there on the highway, and nobody would know. So, yep, Brent, we appreciate your time as always, and we'll do it again here soon.
Okay, pal. Take care.
Appreciate it. Brent Baird, one of the best college sports notebooks and covering college football here throughout the decades in the SEC. When we come back, we're going to talk a little more. Like we said, our thoughts and prayers go out to Rod Bramlett, also Bart Starr. We have Bill Buckner, and also Wisconsin assistant coach Howard Moore, who him and his family passed away as well. So many great, and for everybody. Those are just 4 names that were mentioned, but a tough weekend on Memorial Day. All of our loved ones that have been lost in war as well. We're coming back for more right here in the Sports Drive.
ESPN Pensacola has you covered from the national and local levels. From Golick and Wingo to the Sports Drive, the Paul Feinbaum Show to talk football with Coach K, we have it all. It's the latest and best in sports talk radio, making us Pensacola's hometown sports network. ESPN Pensacola 94.5, also on HD radio at HD2 98.7 WYCT, and streaming online at our website at ESPNpensacola.com.
Don't attempt stunt or trick in this commercial. We have 2 skydivers about to jump from 10,000 feet above this sports stadium. The first jumper has a parachute harness attached with JB Weld epoxy adhesive.
Geronimo!
The second jumper's harness is attached with ordinary household glue.
Wait, what? Geronimo!
Ah! Don't worry, he has a backup chute. When strength really matters, don't glue it, JB Weld it. For metal, wood, plastic, and more. JB Weld, world's strongest bond. Available at Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, AutoZone, Advanced Auto Parts, and more.
Sports Call with Jordan Glass.
A guy like Kyler Murray, great athlete, yes. We talked about it before, great athlete, got a lot of talent. Because of his size, I just see that being something that hurts him inside the NFL.
Then Davis Allens.
It's so much harder to be successful in the NFL, but is it beneficial for you in the long run?
Every Saturday morning on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
Cuando eres un pro, tu reputación se construye y mantiene a través del tiempo. Como el pegamento Loctite PL Premium Max que está en The Home Depot. Es el más poderoso en todo el mercado. Durable, hace un muy buen trabajo y como buen pegamento pro se mantiene a través del tiempo. Ahora, llévate 12 o más a precio mayorista por solo $7.97 cada uno. Loctite PL Premium Max. Más resistencia, durabilidad y un trabajo bien hecho por menos. En The Home Depot, haz más, ahorrando. Requiere un mínimo de compra solo en los Estados Unidos.
Man, last night we put on an epic light show.
So epic.
The crowd loved us.
Wait, there were only 4 people out there.
Yeah, but did you see their 4 faces? Their eyes lit up brighter than ours, and we're fireflies.
Yeah, we are.
And we're gonna be out here rocking out our light show at a forest near you, so come check us out.
Check us out.
Whether you're rocking their world or they're rocking yours, some memories never fade. Come alive with the forest. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
The Serta Perfect Sleeper Savings Event is going on now. But what makes the Perfect Sleeper so perfect? First, the Perfect Sleeper is all new. Second, it has a new comfort layer for 18% better pressure relief. Third, it's on sale right now, which means you should probably get going. Visit your local Serta retailer and save on a Perfect Sleeper today. Not just sorta comfortable, Serta comfortable.
Offer varies by retailer. See participating stores for details. Void where prohibited.
And welcome back, 5:54 on this Memorial Day, this Monday, May the 27th. Feeling like summertime out here. Chad Brillante, that is my name. And Jordan Glass joining you here. I am not a robot. We're sitting here having some fun with you and enjoying our day. You can be part of the show. We've got other ways to get in touch with us here today as well, as you can go ahead and do 2 things. Are you laughing at that robot commercial right there?
I'm laughing at the fact that you said I am not a robot, then I looked up. There's a State Farm commercial with the robot, yeah.
And James Harden, he didn't burn down his house, but I'm sure he feels like burning down a lot of things right now. Burn this to the ground.
I want to know
Pookie
the ad
not gonna
agency that saw that ad and was like, sure, let's put it on television where children can see it.
Yeah. And why are you still running James Harden and Chris Paul ads right now? Let's move on. That's not a good look for your business right now. But our number is 850-972-1945. That's 972-1945 is the number. And now you have a chance to text it as well. Right. So you're out there, 972-1945. You can text us a question with what's going on in sports, with the NBA and their you got Golden State in their 5th straight finals right now. We'll see if they win and go to the White House this year. But they're going to be playing in the game coming up here against the Toronto Raptors, making their first trip. Toronto right there, the first team ever. And some stats, I love when people use stats that it makes it sound cool. Right. But in actuality, it's just like, it's pretty obvious. They were like, Toronto becomes the first team in the history of Canada to make it to the NBA final. I'm like, they're the only team that play. It's not 50 teams out there from Canada. That'd be a cool story if like Banff and Winnipeg and all these other teams. There's one team. There's one team, and it just happened recently. It used to be Vancouver, and they said, They moved to Memphis. Remember the Big Country Reeves out there, Vancouver Grizzlies right there? Yeah. Now, I like their uniforms. Remember those uniforms? Those were some crazy uniforms.
I actually don't remember those uniforms.
Oh, they were like the aqua teal with all, and they had like the grizzly teeth all on the uniform. Oh, come on, you got to Google this one. Yeah. Oh, the Vancouver Grizzly uniforms, they were all out. They were like whacked. There was something like in Bill Walton's dreams going on right there. Oh, yeah, yes.
Those are, wow.
Yeah, they were all out right there.
The tribal print around the collar and the shoulders. Okay.
Yes, now you see what we're talking about. Okay, I'm just saying. Because between them and the Denver, Colorado skyscraper, the skyline in Denver, those are the two I remember, like the whole city. I liked those back in the day. But, Vancouver was going all out with those uniforms. They didn't work out. The team didn't work out, and they end up moving over to Memphis. But when it comes down to it, I love hearing that. So, like 4 people today I heard, first time in the history of the NBA that a team from Canada is playing. I was like, Toronto made it. That's what you should say. Toronto made the final. That's like saying, here it is, Jeremy Lin is the best Chinese-American born point guard from Harvard in the history of the NBA. Sounds good to me right there. I didn't know too many Chinese-American born players that went to Harvard that are 6'2", spiky hair in the NBA right there. Yeah. So, yeah, that's sometimes it just goes without saying.
You got to be careful with those Vancouver uniforms. I got mesmerized just swiping through. Look at all the different ones. They had they had the teal, they had black. I think they saw a pink one. Yeah, they just had them all.
We should start doing a whole segment of that. Things that make it sound good but are complete crap. Like Florida State Seminoles, best record in the history of Tallahassee and Ado Campbell. Last season in 2018 under Coach Willie Taggart. Best record in the history of Willie Taggart football teams at Florida State. Like, great. That's true, but like, I don't want to hear that. Yeah, so sometimes you just got to go with the punches right there, or go with the flow or the shark with Jim McElwain. Looking right now at what's going on in college football. We talked a little bit about it, but Tua and Trevor Lawrence, when you look at those two guys, it was all about Tua. I mean, it's so funny how quickly our perceptions can change. And with Tua, all of a sudden he was God. He was the man, best ever. He was getting pulled at halftime after going 9 for 9. Things changed real quickly, a couple losses, or one loss, and it changed the dynamics of how we looked. We're going to get into that, who's a better fit for the Heisman Trophy, and also you can be part of the show coming up here with Chris Caragiola, Pensacola Blue Wahoos. 1 hour down, 1 to go, right here on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
This is Pensacola's hometown all-sports station and home of the Blue Wahoos, ESPN Pensacola 94.5. Catch all the Wahoos games home and away all season, plus all the latest Wahoos news from Chad Brilliante on the Sports Drive, 5 till game time weeknights. And hey, if your business would like to partner with us as an advertiser or with a local sports promotion, then give us a call at 850-262-6000 or shoot us an email from the advertise page on ESPNpensacola.com.
Looking Gannon, throws up the middle, and intercepted at the 40, Derek Brooks 30, Brooks to the 29, he's getting Derek Brooks all the way, touchdown Tampa Bay, Derek Brooks, the dagger's in, we're going to win the Super Bowl.
Another Watson is wearing a green jacket, and this time his name is Bubba.
Pitch on the way, Russell drives one in the air, deep left center, that's back near the wall, it's got a chance, grand slam, Addison Russell.
The new WBA heavyweight champion of the world, Roy Jones Jr.
And Richardson breaks free on the sideline, end zone, how about that? Bama scores on a 34-yard touchdown run by the Doak Walker Award winner, Trent Richardson, who broke a lot of Emmitt Smith's records back in Pensacola, Florida.
And these them Louisiana, Pensacola guys, they looking crazy and all that.
Morris, blocked by the tight end Paul. That opens up the door. Breaking the Kendricks tackle. To the pylon. Touchdown.
a nice effort there by Alfred Morris, extending that ball over the goal line.
Near side ball was that big game. Doug Baldwin's got a first down. And Doug Baldwin, 93 yards, now has back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons.
Reggie Evans, and he's going to get an ovation. Guy from Pensacola, Florida.
And welcome back. Sports Drive with you. Second hour of the program goes now. ESPN Pensacola 94.5. I am Chad Berliante alongside Jordan Glass. Thanks for joining us here. I hope you're having a good Memorial Day out there, as it is a day to remember all of the family members, friends, all of our loved ones who fought for, or just people in general in this country who fought for our opportunities to get to enjoy the things like today, getting to crack a couple cold ones open on a pontoon boat, or getting to go out there and go to an incredible cat country concert, whether it's Thomas Rhett or watching those stories of seeing the people out there for Luke Combs, anything going on. It is just great to be part of it and having that opportunity. You can be part of the show today at 972-1945 as Memorial Day, a day to remember the people that lost their lives fighting during battle for this country, and it is something that we will continue to keep everyone posted on what's going on with some of the stories in sports today. As the Pensacola Blue Wahoo's off, they'll return home and having a chance to get out there in action starting tomorrow. Coming back home, and after a 11-10 win, as they were able to come back and score 7 runs late in that victory, and pretty awesome to see as a team with the best record now in the Southern League at 31-20 overall. Also, Stanley Cup NHL Game 1 tonight. A guy that bet $400, had some money laying around in Vegas, was able to have a chance to make $100,000. How about that? When they had 250-1 odds, the worst team in the NHL at that time. Also, we'll get to more on UWF, a great season, but the softball team ending their season Friday in Denver, Colorado, after getting the College World Series. And Rod Bramlett, a guy that meant so much, the kick six, just one of many famous calls, and the voice of the Auburn Tigers, passing away with his family in a car accident, terrible car accident, just everything. Our thoughts and prayers go out to him. Bill Buckner passing away today. Howard Moore and the situation Wisconsin assistant basketball coach, and also Bart Starr at the age of 85. We do have somebody on the line.
We got disconnected, so unfortunately it was our good buddy Jeff who calls us pretty frequently here on the show, and so I'm just going to ask Jeff, give us a call back.
Give us a call back,
yeah.
972-1945. We got our ESPN hotline rolling here. You can also text us. If you don't have time to call, or you don't want to, or you want to call me a buffoon, but you'd rather text it, we will read it. We'll have fun with it. But that, all I ask here, look, you can call me. Yeah,
Greg changes it to baboon.
You can do whatever you want. I love that. I love the enticement of this. But the difference is, if you're going to bring something, just go ahead and bring it, knowing that there's going to be somebody else coming right back at you. That's what we do here. That's how we roll. And you have a chance to be part of that at 972-1945. Let's go ahead and go to our hotline. And Jeff is on the line. Jeff, good evening.
I'm sorry, Chad. Something happened with my phone, but it's working good now.
That's okay. If it ever happens again, Jeff, we're done. No, I'm just playing with you. I'm kidding, man. You're always welcome to call. You know that. Come on, Jeff. You called for years. Jeff, complete joke. You know that I love you, man. Go ahead.
I think it's a tight one tonight. I think the Blues win it 2-1. And, yeah, I'm picking that because I want the Blues to win. I'll admit that. And even though my mom's a Blackhawk fan, she'll be rooting for the Bruins. So it kind of split house and stuff. And really nice win for the Rays today. And want to let you know, Chad, I'll be rooting for the Red Sox when they play the Yankees because that'll be good for me because it would help the Rays climb up in the standing, and it would help the Red Sox climb up. So I hope y'all win all 4. And, you know, you're being the Indians right now, which is good. I know that means a lot. It's been kind of not a great season, but a good season and stuff. And Trevor Lawrence, he probably is a great quarterback. I don't think he is. I'm a homer. I'm going to say all the Florida quarterbacks are better than him. And, you know, that's a great thing about sports. You know, you don't have to agree with what they do. And, you know, I think Florida State gets to the College World Series, and I think they end up, and I think the Florida Gators get there, and I think the Miami Hurricanes get there. Even though they're playing in Starkville, we don't have about probably 12,000 people. I have faith in Jordan Lala and some other players, and, you know, we got some good arms in the bullpen and stuff. You know, nice win for the Marlins. and I don't think G is a horrible person. I know some people do, but and I still stand by the Rays win 100 games, only about 70 wins away. Hopefully they can sweep the Blue Jays and stuff. And looking forward to watching the Dodgers tonight. I think Kershaw gets lit up for 8 runs. I think he gets lit up for a grand slam by Robinson Cano. And I think Jacob DeGrom goes out and pitches 7 innings, gets about 20K. Thank you, Chad. Appreciate your show. Have a good day.
Jeff, appreciate the call right there. For the folks that don't know, Jeff has been calling throughout the years, doing broadcasting here for about 7-8 years since moving from Las Vegas with the MLB Network to this market. And one of the things is Jeff has called in. He's been a regular caller. And if you miss SportsCenter or you've missed the show, Jeff will cover an entire world of sports in a minute and a half. He does. And I remember, look how my ADD brain works. I actually cover. I'm like, listen, I can answer every one of them. But if you only have a few minutes, Jeff's call will give you an entire day's worth. As we get topical here, let's get topical. We're talking sports, and if we do that, Jeff will cover it all. So Jeff, we appreciate. He's a big sports fan in the market, a big for all Florida fans, all Florida teams, and good to hear the call. Look, Jordan, here's the thing about Tampa. I'm not sure if they're guys like Avisail Garcia and Kevin Kiermaier and Austin Meadows and Tommy Pham are going to continue to keep up playing at the level of New York and Boston. Remember, New York is missing half of their roster.
Right.
And they have it's insane to think Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Luis Severino, James Paxton, all these guys are out right now. Didi Gregorius, Troy Tulowitzki. I mean, half of their roster is out, and they're still sitting there right now at way above 500 and continue to win. So when they get healthy, they're going to be scary because their backups right now have proven that they're good enough as most teams in all of baseball. But the Rays aren't going away. Their roster, their pitching right now, their young pitchers all have, as we say up north, wicked awesome stuff. I mean, you look right now at those guys that go out there and throw. Tyler Glasgow and Glasnow, all the guys out there. He has the same name you does. Is it Glasnow or Glasgow?
He's Glasnow.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Glasnow, he goes out there and goes and just dominates. And then you've got a guy like what you see in obviously Blake Snell it's Cy Young right there. You have guys up and down that board that throw 97 with awesome curveballs. Even Chirinos today, or watching the guys like Stanek that come in and throw a couple innings that could hit 100. This roster is full. Charlie Morton, who helped Houston pretty much solidify the World Series 2 years ago, is on that roster. Those guys are insane arms, and they're not going away anytime soon.
Yeah, and look, this team's got great pitching, but they also do the little things right. And I
think
they
do.
That's going a long
They've
way
always
for
played
them
small
this
ball.
year.
That's been their motto.
And that's how they have to be successful. They're not a team that's going to go out and get the big-time hitters that are going to knock 50 home runs into the seats to help them out. They've got to play small ball if they want to win the AL East or get a wild card spot and get into the postseason. And very much so, we could be seeing a wild card team in the Tampa Bay Rays that wins 92, 93, 94 games this year. It would be, I agree with you. I think it's going to be tough for them to overcome the Yankees. Their biggest thing for them, they've got to stay healthy. If they start having guys get injured and can't play and they're having to miss 5-6 week periods, then that's going to hurt them on the year. They have got to stay healthy.
Well, and the other thing that hurts them is the Yankees and Red Sox have ridiculous rosters.
Right.
I mean, and they're in the same division, so you have to play them a lot more. Outside of that, Minnesota is playing great right now, but Minnesota's pitching staff is overachieving. You got guys like Michael Pineda and guys like Kyle Gibson and guys like Martin Perez, who was a guy that got pretty much released by the Texas Rangers, who would just lucky to have your grandmother pitching for him right now. I mean, there are a lot of teams out there that when you look at their roster, they're overachieving. And it's like when you watch Chris Sale or Rick Porcello and they have these awful ERAs for Boston, it's a matter of time before they start pitching like aces because they've proven it for over 6-7 years in a row. Where if you look at a guy like a Martin Perez or Kyle Gibson and they're just having a great year this year, it doesn't mean that they're going to be able to keep Jake Odorizzi, who's pitching just lights out, was striking everybody out. These guys have been released by teams. They have been 6 ERA guys. They're playing a great baseball brand right now. But baseball is so fickle. Baseball, you'll get teams like the LA Dodgers. When the LA Dodgers made the run at the World Series a couple years back, Justin Turner, the full-size leprechaun, was sitting there, and he said, we're the worst team in baseball. They lost 17 straight games, and this was in August. About 3 weeks later, they were in the World Series, and they were playing great baseball. Mm-hmm. And the difference is, when you look right now at a team like Minnesota, they are the best team right now. They're crushing balls, and we love it as the Blue Wahoos, and we're going to talk to Chris Garagiola, who's got to cover the Twins and be in the broadcast for the Wahoos. But we watch these teams, and you can't look at that roster and expect Max Kepler and guys like Eddie Rosario to play like MVPs the entire season.
Right.
They're good players. They're very good young players. But there are going to be times where they don't play like the MVPs of the world. They're not always going to be Mike Trouts. And I think that's one of the things we've got to look at with the Twins. They're a very good team. They have the best record in baseball right now. But for the Rays, they've got a good enough pitching staff, but it's going to be hard enough with the Yankees and Red Sox to make the postseason. It's going to be very intriguing this year in the AL East. When we come back, we are going to talk some Major League Baseball with Chris Garagiola. We'll talk some Blue Wahoos and more. Also get into more on some of the stories, including remembering Rod Bramlett, the voice of the Auburn Tigers, who passed away this week. The NHL Stanley Cup Game 1 tonight as a tale of two stories. The Bruins, a great roster, a team that was expected to be there. The Blues, making their first appearance in over 40 years, and a team that has never won the Stanley Cup. And at one point this season, had the worst record in all of hockey. The worst record. And not 0-1, but we were talking a couple months into the year. It'd be like Vanderbilt winning the SEC. Not really. But it would be like, they're still pro team. But looking at a team, it would be like in basketball, the Phoenix Suns winning this year's NBA Finals. It's incredible to think what they've been able to accomplish. And tonight, it'll all get kicked off here. A great game, a couple less teeth by the end of it. Two teams that probably are going to get a little feisty, play good defense. Zdeno Chara might be 40, but he'll bust your face in to try to save the Bruins a win. Good for you. 6'9", and an enforcer. We're coming back for more right here with Chris Garagiola, the Pensacola Blue Wahoos, right here on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
It is the veteran, not the preacher, who has given us the freedom of religion.
It's the veteran, not the politician, who has given us the right to vote.
It's the veteran, not the poet, who has given us the freedom of speech.
The veteran, not the campus organizer, who has given us the freedom to assemble.
It is the veteran, not the reporter, who has given us freedom of the press.
It is the veteran, not the lawyer, who has given us the right to a fair trial.
We should all be very proud of our young men and women in the service, no matter where they serve. Thank you.
Pensacola is loaded with famous athletes, and when it comes to seeing a chiropractor for their sports injuries, there is one team they trust, Doctors Edwin Roberts. A family tradition for 3 generations, Doctors Edwin Roberts Chiropractic, next to Legendary Fitness on Mobile Highway, has helped champion athletes like Emmett Smith and Trent Richardson. Doctors Roberts specialize in relieving auto accident pain to physicals for the student athlete. The best treatment for sports injuries is prevention. Call 912-4155 for a free consultation and change your life forever.
Florida, with its sunny weather and beautiful beaches, is a great place to walk and bike. Alert Today Florida encourages you to think beyond the driver's seat. Consider making a trip or 2 per week on foot or by bike. Active transportation like walking and biking can improve your health, reduce stress, and give you a few minutes to enjoy the sunshine. And here are a few tips to help you walk and bike safely. Remember, when walking, cross in the crosswalk and obey the pedestrian signals. And when riding, obey traffic laws and always ride in the direction of traffic, because safety doesn't happen by accident.
ESPN Pensacola 94.5 is all sports all the time. Talk football year-round with local sports legend Coach K. From quarterbacking the Pensacola High Tigers to coaching the Buffalo Bills, Coach K's life has been all about the game, the teams, the players, and the coaches. Talk football with Coach K at noon on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Introducing. Nah, not big enough. It's the brand new. Nah, still not big enough. Introducing the brand new French-inspired topped with fresh fruit crepes lineup, only at Denny's. Yeah, that's better. There's the new banana chocolate hazelnut crepes, the banana berry caramel crepes, and the strawberry vanilla crepes, made with fresh strawberries, strawberry sauce, and vanilla cream. Fresh fruit, French, and delicious. Come try all three. See you at Denny's. Price and participation may vary. Limited time only.
And welcome back. Sports Drive with you right here on ESPN Pensacola 94.5 and on Blab TV. Chad Brillante, Jordan Glass with you here. Hope everybody's enjoying their Memorial Day. It is hot. It is summertime, and that's a good time to get out to the ballpark and enjoy a nice cold refreshment and watch some of the best baseball in town with the best record in all the Southern League. Out of the 10 teams right there, the Pensacola Blue Wahoos, the best record overall. And it's been a great season. They are 13-7 at home this year and coming off a nice win where they came back with 7 runs. I was listening last night to the game with the voice of the Pensacola Blue Wahoos, doing a great job as always. Has been around the game of baseball throughout his life. Chris Garagiola, kind enough to join us here. Chris, the one day from baseball you have off, and you were kind enough to make time for us here today, and I give you a call. So thank you. I appreciate it, buddy.
Hey, glad to be on. Love listening to you and Jordan. You guys do an outstanding job, and couldn't miss an opportunity to be on Sports Drive.
Well, Chris, talk a little bit about this team. First off, talk about living in the now in this moment right here, having a chance to call that game last night and the comeback win, and how that can spark a baseball team, because they found themselves down 10-4, and I'm listening. I was getting excited in my car. I was like Freebird. I went from about 30 to 75 in a school zone. Sorry about that. No, I'm just playing. It was Sunday. But at the same time, I did start getting exciting driving on 110 coming home. But looking at the game, the 7-run rally into the 7th to get it done last night. Talk about that victory.
I'll tell you what, it kind of starts with the day before. The coaches had a meeting, I think, after the loss on Saturday, and Ramon was basically just saying, we have to find a way to win tomorrow. We have to find a way to win and get out of here, because the team had been struggling. We just lost our second consecutive series. And, I know we have the best record in the Southern League, but you talk about the now, and right now they're just not playing their best baseball. So going into the game yesterday, Andrew Chatur he's been solid. He came off the injured list, and just another tough outing for him. And after 5 innings, we're down 10-4, and I'm thinking, oh man, this is not how this was supposed to go. It's going to be a long ride back from Tennessee. And the boys just started chipping away. 1 run in the 6th inning, a couple in the 7th, big rally in the 8th, and there just came a moment, even when we were down 2, where I thought, we're not losing this game. There's no way. There's this much fight and this much spirit from the Blue Wahoos. And they were like a runaway train on a railroad, and I knew that Tennessee wasn't going to be able to stop them. And once we tied it up, top of the 9th inning, I nearly blew out our microphone getting so excited talking about the home run from Travis Blankenhorn. First off, just a majestic shot. But I tweeted out it afterwards. I don't know if I'll ever see another comeback like that, because the Blue Wahoos just looked done and defeated and ready to get out of town. And that was me assuming that, and I couldn't have been more wrong. And I didn't do anything, obviously, but it's almost, you feel proud to be associated with a group of men that compete like that. And I think Pensacola should be very proud of their team.
Chris, you've had a chance to be around the Blue Wahoos organization over the past few years, and this is not leading to be a Conor McGregor-Khabib brawl in the parking lot here when I'm bringing this up, but from the culture standpoint, the benefits of what the Minnesota Twins have brought to the organization compared to the Reds, because I've seen from just working with the team, and I don't get to make every game because we get off air as you guys go on air, and I try to make it down. I got a 3-year-old run around and see her for a few minutes before she goes to bed. But from what I've been down there, it just seems like the whole culture, the activity, the emotion of the players is a lot different for the best in what Minnesota brings to the ballpark each and every night. Their team right now has the best record in Major League Baseball, unlike the Reds, who are struggling. But talk a little bit about what you have noticed, the difference between Minnesota and Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think from the Minnesota standpoint, I think that a lot of their coaches throughout the organization, a lot of the people who make these decisions, they're younger and they're placing a lot of trust in analytics. And I know that is kind of a trigger word for a lot of people, traditionalists of the game. And I'll be perfectly honest, I'm kind of one of those people as well. But what they're simply doing is they're looking at what their players do, and amateur players as well, guys that they're interested in drafting, and they're trying to quantify the things that they're seeing so that way they can make the best decision possible. And once they make that decision, right, when they draft a player, then it's all about harnessing that talent and trying to put them – you hear this expression a lot with the Twins. They're trying to put these players in the best possible situation so that way they can have success. The difference from the Reds, they certainly used, I would say, traditional scouting to a certain standpoint. They certainly rely on people that have been in the game for a long, long time. And that's not a bad thing. I think, first of all, the Reds are playing a lot better this year. They just, unfortunately, are in an absolutely brutal division. I mean, how about when the Cardinals decide, we're going to go ahead and trade for Paul Goldschmidt, and now the Reds are going like, geez, man, how much better can this division get, right? We've got to deal with the Cubs. The Pirates have been good for a while, and now the Cardinals are all of a sudden flexing on everybody. So those guys as well, I think, when we had them, and I only had them for a couple years, there was a lot of young talent, and we saw that talent at Pensacola. But because the big leaguers were so injured so often, they had to rush guys up through the system, and they weren't ready. And it doesn't matter what job is that you have, whether you're a professional baseball player, whether you're wanting to get into radio. If you're not ready, you're going to struggle in the big moments, and that's what happened in those first 2 years. So I'm happy to see them play better because I've gotten to know a lot of those guys, and I do see philosophical differences between Minnesota and Cincinnati. But, man, I mean, you talk about the start that the Twins are having, and it's something I think that the baseball world needs to talk a bit more about seriously.
Yeah, they're really good. And Miguel Sano is literally ripping the lid off the ball. Jordan and I, jokingly, because I thought I was going to start a one-man band out there like McCovey Cove of having a kayak out in left field out there, even though you have no view of over that wall, and it's about a 20-foot drop. But at the same time, we joked. I said, if Miguel Sano takes one deep into the water, then I'll go ahead and buy you steak tacos. And then he owes me if he doesn't over the week. And I'm watching the game. I'm like, well, crap. Why couldn't he just hit one barely over the wall? But I still owe him those steak tacos. And, there's a good place to get dollar sirloins at Dollar Tree. That's actually real and scary. So he's going to enjoy it right there. I've got the tortillas already. They've been aging in the car. Looking at the game, though, what this team brings to the table, there's so many young stars. And it has been fun to watch. And it's going to be a fun weekend because you guys come home with the best record. And there's always a lot of great things going on at the ballpark. But tomorrow, with Memorial Day close to so many people's hearts in this area that have lost loved ones who lost their lives fighting for this country in action, it is Military Appreciation Night and Fat Tuesday tomorrow at the ballpark.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty special being in a place like Pensacola, and a lot of people, a lot of cities talk about the love they have for our troops and our soldiers, and I think Pensacola is a city that actually embodies those words by their actions and the way that they show up and the way that they support not just our men and women who are overseas, but when they come back home, the appreciation and the recognition they deserve. And you know what? Memorial Day, it's hard on a beautiful day like this sometimes to not stop and forget how lucky and how blessed we are. And there's a saying that I think is used by Commonwealth countries like in Australia and England, and they say gone but not forgotten. And I think about that on Memorial Day every time it comes up, because we can't ever forget about the ultimate sacrifice that so many men and women have made. And even though we can't sometimes, pick up the phone and call those loved ones, they're gone but not forgotten. And we will certainly start off this 10-day homestand appropriately. There's a rule in minor league baseball that no games will be played on Memorial Day, and I think that's an appropriate thing. Everyone certainly could use a day off and use that day off to remember the fallen. But when we get started on Tuesday, you're right, we're going to celebrate all of those folks. We're going to have so many things going on at the ballpark. I mean, you've been to Blue Wahoo Stadium. You know how family-friendly the atmosphere is. Win or lose, people are always enjoying themselves. And pretty soon we're going to start our Wednesday fireworks show. I think it's actually going to be this Wednesday. I have to double-check that. But now that school's out, I know it's hard to get tickets on Saturday. We're pretty much sold out from now to the end of the season on Saturdays. And We've got big fireworks show there, but you can make it out to the park Wednesday and get the same exact fireworks show tickets a little bit easier to come by. Check us out at BlueWahoos.com or call us 850-934-8444. You're not going to want to miss it.
Well, Chris, it's always great when you talk about the Blue Wahoos and their season, but as a fan of the game, and you grew up around with your family right there, having a chance with your dad and all of your family members that have been a big part of baseball throughout your life, what was something that you remember as a kid? Because you know what? I grew up in a city, obviously, with family members in Boston where people live baseball. Around here, it's tough because even though we follow the game and we're a younger generation that does it, sorry to age you with me, but when it comes down there, you look at a culture of, I hope baseball for the long term. I hope our kids one day and the generations after that get to love baseball. But we're going towards a society of very much speed. Everybody wants it now. Do you feel there are things from growing up around a ballpark that baseball needs to do to change that culture long term in order to have success?
I think so. I think like anything, it kind of starts with how you market the game itself. I mean, right now I have been watching as much NBA action as I'd like because we're in season. But it just seems like there are so many storylines, throughout the season, and they're circulated around an individual player. And that just you're kind of drawn to it, whether or not you root for the team. I mean, obviously you're going to root for your hometown team, but there are already storylines kind of brewing in this NBA Finals. Look at Kawhi Leonard. He left San Antonio in a somewhat dramatic fashion, and Kevin Durant is supposed to be leaving the Warriors. Where will he go? And are the Warriors better without KD or with him, given how, Golden State performed? That's just one small aspect of so many storylines in the game. And, like, right now, what's the big storyline in baseball? I mean, the Twins are playing great, but let's be honest, nobody wants to talk about them. And the Yankees, they've been banged up, but everybody hates the Yankees. That's the narrative that they sort of push. And it's like, well, what is the thing that is pulling us towards the game? And what concerns me the most is that most of the talk that goes around baseball, it's a lot of negative comment. People are complaining about a lot of things. The games are too long. They're too boring. There's too many pitching changes. I hate analytics, right? And that's the game is fun. It used to be so much fun going to the ballpark on a nice day, and you're with your friends, right? We're in some comfortable clothes, maybe have a couple of hot dogs and an adult beverage or two, and you're just socializing in front of a pretty entertaining ball game, win or lose. So what do I think the game needs is a long way of answering your question. I'm concerned a little bit about some of the dictatorial implements that we're seeing from the league, right? Rob Manfred has said, well, I've just decided, even though the players' union doesn't like it, that 3-batter minimum for relievers, and that's how we're going to slow down all these pitching changes. And I'm like, well, I would consult former players and managers and guys who had played the game, and because I don't know if just saying, well, we're doing it my way or the highway is the best way to go to sustain this relationship between the two. And I think we have to find a way to make it a bit more fan engaging at the ballpark. I talk about hockey games. I talk about NBA games. Like, it's fun going there, even if you don't know much about the sport. And in between the action, there's funny sideshows without being too ludicrous. And sometimes at baseball, it just feels a little bit dead. So I think looking at those two issues will go a long way in helping sustain a healthy love for the game of baseball.
No, I think so as well, and I think it's something that I hope that it continues because I love baseball. What do you think the negatives would be? And I know baseball doesn't want to change, but I was talking to Greg Litton about it, who played in the majors during the 80s and 90s, and we thought of a couple different things. And one of the things I brought up is I really like how the Southern League has first and second half champions. Now, you would have to do it in a way where if you did 81 games in Major League Baseball in the first half and 81 in the second half, that if you won both halves, then you won your division outright, because you have to give some kind of reason why they don't just rest all of their guys, their big sluggers, in the final 3 months to get them ready for the World Series. But when it comes down to it, I think that would add more intrigue when we sit here at 55, 56 games in, and you're sitting there saying, okay, in the next couple weeks, if you're a Red Sox, a Yankee, and a Rays fan, you're watching a great grind, or you're watching 4 teams battling it out right now in the Central for a couple more months, when in actuality, instead of 25 games, you got 105, and that's way too much baseball to sort of get incited with the intrigue of it. That's what makes college football so incredible. not just because all the teams here in the South are winning. It's because if you lose that one game, for some teams, their season could be a bust. I mean, there's some teams out there that if you lose one play, like Alabama did, then their season didn't work out. It was a failure compared to where they wanted to be when they ran the table. And that's the thing that makes college football so great is the win or lose draw of watching a Penn State, Michigan, or watching an Alabama versus Auburn or a Georgia, Florida could decipher everything in that one day compared to where baseball, you can get swept. I'm watching the Red Sox and Cleveland as a Sox fan right now. We're 28-25. We're not having a great year, but I know that they're going to get hot. I know Sale's going to pitch better, and it's going to be all right. What would be the negatives of baseball going towards an 81-81 split champion series?
I mean, to be honest with you, I like the idea. The negatives are you're going to have a lot of people, first of all, that love the history of the game, and having such a change like that now fundamentally changes the way that seasons and player statistics are kind of measured, right? Everything would be broken between first half and second half. And I don't know how welcome people would be to that. And then certainly people would feel like, well, all of a sudden you're diminishing a team's overall season because one team could be absolutely garbage in the first half and have a really strong 81 games and make the playoffs. And how many times have we seen this in the Southern League throughout the year? And it's funny I mentioned that because the answer is not that many times. But the situation is you would have teams that throughout the entire course, first half and second half, they could in theory have a better overall record and not make the playoffs because, again, one team was so bad in the first half and just lights out in the second half. To counter your question, though, the thing that is problematic is we are starting to see in all four professional sports, because of tanking and the value that comes from really getting that first, second, third overall pick, there are so many more bad teams than there are above average to really good teams. So when you have this situation, Chad, in about a month, we're going to be having the buyers and sellers talk, right? Who's going to be going for it and who is just going to throw in the towel. And when you have a first half and a second half champion, you don't have to sell after the first half, right? You can reevaluate and reassess, and maybe after a bad first half, you become a buyer, and you're thinking to yourself, like, we've got to add some pieces and really get after it for the second half. Look at the Washington Nationals. Look at the moves that they made in the offseason. I know they lost Bryce Harper, but they still have a dominant pitching staff with Steven Strasburg and Max Scherzer, and they signed Patrick Corbin, and they get some nice fill-in additions for their lineup. But they're having a miserable season because their bullpen, quite frankly, no bueno. It's not good. It's one of the worst in baseball. And, I mean, you read the articles about them, they're going to have an unprecedented finish of the season just to make the playoffs. And if they had a first and a second half, it wouldn't necessarily be like that. And because of them, they're in a whole lot of trouble. And I don't know what that team does in the future. And that's just one example of so many teams that could benefit from a first half and a second half, but will never have the chance.
I mean, the Marlins right now are sitting there. They have the best record right now. They have actually the second best record in the National League over the past 2 weeks. They're 7-3, but they're in dead last at 17-34, and they have no shot. And in a couple weeks, the Marlins are going to be sitting there 1/3 of the way through the season, and they're already done. You only watch the Marlins to be like, I want to be entertained with their cleanup hitters having about 4 home runs. So at this point, you realize that maybe a second half would be a fresh start. They could make some trades during the. It would have more people trying to make moves to become something special. And you know what? It wouldn't. To me, about the stats, that's one thing baseball will never touch. They don't want their home run king to have 25 home runs if you shorten the game to 81 games. Or they don't want to see their RBI leader at 70 or their strikeout leader at 100 Ks. This wouldn't change that. Your stats would still be to be the home run king, Triple Crown. The leaders would be all 162 games. You got to play. It would keep them intrigued to go out there and, as an individual, continue to battle. I just look at it as it would way to spice it up, and it's something I'm trying to find something that is actually reasonable that the old people in the rockers would actually go for in baseball as an enthusiast of the game that actually does go home and watch games. Jordan and I got a game right now on studio. It just so happens to be the Red Sox, but we watch the Rays and Marlins while we're doing the show. As baseball fans, we would like to see something change, because I know the path of our kids going down one day with all the kids. They're going to run out of sitting there for 3 hours. And the Wahoos, because of their venue, will always have a great spot. The Wahoos always, because of that nice breeze, you guys do an incredible job with all of the amenities, from catching the roach to Downtown Dave and the broadcasting, and just how cool of an atmosphere it is, the food, the fun, kazoo. But most teams, and you know, Chris, being in minor league baseball or traveling around, most teams, they don't have this. When I was out with the 51ers in Las Vegas, it wasn't even close to like this. And it's going to die to a point, not regionally. There always will be regions. But overall, the game itself, it's got to figure something out, and I'm just trying to find baby steps. These 10-second pitch count rules is not going to change the dynamics overall, and they're not even enforcing it anyway. But I'm just hoping for the long term it does change. But one thing we know, the Wahoos are going to be supported. We've got a great team, a great fan base, and we're looking forward to a great series, Chris, here ahead.
Absolutely, and this is it. This is a key moment right now for the Blue Wahoos. They're a little thin on pitching. A couple of their starters have been promoted, so I mean, certainly congratulations to Sean Toppin and Randy Dobnak. As I like to say to the players, I hope I never see you again, because I hope that their final stop is in the big leagues and not back down in Double-A. But 5 games against the Mississippi Braves starting tomorrow, and then after that 5 games against the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. Those are 2 series that, quite frankly, the Blue Wahoos should win. And if they do that, they're going to be right on their way to clinching the first half and guaranteeing a spot in the playoffs. And if they don't have the success against those 10, then the Blue Wahoos go on the road to second-place Biloxi, who, depending on how this 10 days goes, maybe the Truckers are in first place. And it's kind of a must-win series for Pensacola. So there's a lot of drama going on, and you're certainly going to want to be a part of the action, because this is a special team that we have. This might be one of the best we've had in 4 or 5 years. So I'm considered myself very lucky and blessed to be able to, have a job where I'm watching this day in and day out and getting to talk about the action. But you don't want to miss it, that's for sure.
Now, when it comes down to mascots, real quick, look, my daughter, it took her a little while to get used to kazoo, but, the jumbo shrimp out there, that looks very creepo. I was looking at some of the photos. What do you think? Have you met some of these mascots? Or because it seems like we have a seafood buffet in the Southern League with shuckers and blue wahoos and biscuits and jumbo shrimp and everything going on. What's up with that jumbo shrimp? Because it looks like it's creeped out some of the kids.
I don't know. I mean, listen, I can't speak too badly about them, because, I mean, even when they changed the name to Jumbo Shrimp, it seemed like it inflamed the personalities of a lot of people around the baseball world, and yet that was like the number one talked about team at the time, 2 or 3 years ago. So I look at their mascot, I'm kind of like you. I'm like, what on earth is going on? Like, I'm afraid you're going to make the little ones cry, and you know what? But, like, it's because of that, like, it just becomes so popular. And I'm like, dang it, how do they do that over there? Like, what is going on?
I feel like he should have a tutu of cocktail sauce or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, spice it up or something. But no, I'm not 100% sure if it's a jumbo shrimp or if it's like a dragon that is having a bad day at the office. But you know what? Overall, we're excited. Blue Wahoo's got things going on. Jordan's just making some faces. I'm looking at it. Oh, yeah. But overall, it's going to be an awesome time at the ballpark this week. The 5-game homestand begins tomorrow as they will return home, and we're looking forward to catching the Blue Wahoos each and every night here on ESPN Pensacola 94.5. Chris, we appreciate the time as always. Look forward to hearing you throughout the year. You're doing a great job, and keep up the good work.
Chad and Jordan, thank you so much for having me on the show. And real quick, I know I talked about it earlier, but to those who gave their lives for this country, I can't say, obviously, thank you enough. You're gone but not forgotten.
Absolutely, Chris. Well said right there. Thanks again, buddy.
Bye-bye, guys. All
right, Chris Garagiola, the voice of the Pensacola Blue Wahoos, doing a great job. And, yes, as he said, on Memorial Day, it is a day we get an extra day off from the weekend. But the folks out there that have lost their lives fighting for this country, as many, almost every one of us has someone in their family that has happened to, or friend. Our thoughts and prayers go out to them. And thank you, more than anything. I like to look at the glass half full, and instead of, we understand there's nothing we can do at this point to bring them back, but we can thank them and their families and everybody out there for their services to give us an opportunity for what we do today and enjoy this beautiful sun and some air conditioning. When we come back, we're going to talk some more about what's going on here in local news, including UWF, and also Rod Bramlett, one of the nicest guys in the world, passing away, the voice of the Auburn Tigers, and will not be forgotten as well. Coming back for more right here in the Sports Drive.
Now there's more fun for everyone at IP. The beautiful Bayview Cafe is here, open 24 hours, 7 days a week. You can dine anytime and meet up with friends for wine tasting at 850 Wine and Spirits. Plus, if you love sports, IP Sportsbook is where the action is, and now taking wagers. Better up.
IP Casino Resort and Spa. It's fun for everyone.
When working at a growing business, you wear many hats. The new business hat, the buying toner for the copy machine hat, the sifting through tons of resumes hat. You can throw away that last hat thanks to Indeed.com. When posting your job, Indeed lets you add screener questions that give you a less time-consuming route to your short list of qualified candidates. So go ahead, dust off that extra long lunch hat. Hiring's better when you've got your short list. Save time on hiring when you post a job on Indeed. Get started today at Indeed.com/hire.
ESPN Radio is taking over ESPN News. You can now watch your favorite radio shows all in one place. From Golick and Wingo.
Oh, yeah.
To the Dan Levitard Show with Stugotz.
All right, I'm available every day, thanks.
To the Stephen A. Smith Show.
I just don't understand this guy.
To the Will Kane Show.
It's my job to tell the truth.
From morning to night, the best of ESPN Radio is now available on ESPN News.
I'm Little Teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
ESPN Radio is taking over ESPN News. You can now watch your favorite radio shows all in one place. From Golick and Wingo.
Oh, yeah.
To the Dan Levitard Show with Stugotz.
All right, I'm available every day, thanks.
To the Stephen A. Smith Show.
I just don't understand this guy.
To the Will Kane Show.
It's my job to tell the truth.
From morning to night, the best of ESPN Radio is now available on ESPN News.
Wings are now on Beef O'Brady's 2 for $20 deal. Wings?
Wings. Pick or bang, same buck. Pick a starter plus 2 entrees. Like 10 of Beef's famous wings, still $20. 2 for $20. Worth every penny.
Tower, this is Alpha Squad. Something smells mighty good up here. Who's hungry? Over.
Beef's 2 for $20. Pick a starter and 2 entrees. Like Beef's new chicken tender Parmesan skillet, still just $20.
Classic ending to a 70s movie here, coming back here, jamming.
Either that or we're in the produce section at Dixie. Yeah.
Feel like we should just get some Hawaiian shirts just to have in the back, like when this comes on. You got the tropical hat going on.
Yeah.
Is that a Wahoo's one?
It is.
Okay,
Wahoo's,
that's what I thought right there. Thank you for just showing me your backside of your hat there. Sometimes like, let me give you a whole little look right here.
Well, I would have just taken it off and shown you that way, but the headset and everything.
Thank you for doing that. That made justice for radio, too. Looking right now at I love doing those things we'll be watching since we've been on TV. I'm like, let's take a look at that. And they're like, I don't know what's happening right now. But looking right now at what is happening, we got the NHL Stanley Cup going on tonight. St. Louis Blues and the Boston Bruins. We talked shortly about this earlier, but for one guy who's just your casual salesman out there, old Scott Barry, 4 months ago, he went over to Vegas for a conference to try to sell things. He sells men's shoes like Al Bundy. No, he was out there a casual salesman, and he was doing some selling in Vegas. And $400 he won in blackjack. Good for him. And he said, why not? So he put $400 on the Blues. At that time, it looked like he was just donating to the $1 billion that Vegas is. And all of a sudden, they were at 250 to 1 odds. They had the worst record in all the NHL. Even worse than the Arizona Coyotes. Worse than Vancouver, teams that had given up. Their fan base had gone home. Now he has a chance for $100,000. And all he has to do is have San Jose win the Stanley Cup. They're there. 250 to 1 odds on $400 was $100,000. And now he sits there with people offering him $40,000. He can hedge his bet on the Bruins going out at minus 150 for the series and win between $39,000 and $36,000. Guaranteed. You have to file your taxes. You do it yourself when you win those, by the way. We're on to you. And when these stories go public, there's no way you're getting out of that. Uncle Sam's not going to be like, did you win that? Aha! ESPN, CBS, and Fox said you did. Where's our portion? Look, half the people in this world, they look otherwise on their gambling debts or how much they win. If they lose, they're putting it in their writing. So I lost. You can actually write off your gambling debts, which is sad. If you're married and things like that, that's probably not a good look. Like you file jointly and you're like, excuse me, what was this $300,000? Oh, don't worry about it. No, we're getting some money back. No. I'm not going to forget about that. How did you lose our house? It's okay. We're good. We're good. When were you in Biloxi? Come on. But looking at the situation with Scott Barry, his $40,000. Jordan, go big or go home. Do you take the 100? He's a big-time Blues. He's a huge St. Louis fan. They've never won a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
So do you go all in? A guy from Auburn did this too when the Auburn Tigers, remember they were a 3-9 season. They wanted a leader, not a loser. Gus Malzahn comes in, Nick Marshall in the squad, Trey Mason. They get to that finals against Florida State in the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. They were going up at the time. A guy had put in, it was $1,000 to win, I believe it was $250,000. Or actually even more. I think it was 500 to 1 odds because college football, you got way more teams. And when you're 3-9 the season before and playing the SEC West, not too many people give you any shot. So I believe they were actually going out, I think it was $100 to win $250,000, and the guy decided to let it ride, and all he did was lose $100 because Florida State won on that final drive. That was probably some tears from this guy, big time. Now, if you're Scott Barry, do you take the $40,000 right away, or do you let it ride at $100,000?
Here's the thing: is that he was lucky to begin with because
he won $400 in blackjack.
Yeah, and this was a situation where he bet on a team that was in dead last place for them to win it, and now all of a sudden they came from last place to playing in the Stanley Cup. So he's already been lucky enough. I know earlier when you posed this question to me before, I said I would go for the $100 million. Or 100,000.
I would go for $100 million too.
Sorry.
40,000. I would.
Sorry, 100,000.
For $100 million, we're on the same page. We are. Yes,
that's a whole lot of pontoon.
And we're a huge blue. I mean, I'm painting my face. I'm going to. I'm joining the Blue Man Group. I'm going to be front and center.
I'm getting a little yellow music notes tattooed on my cheeks.
I will be the loudest person. Yeah. We're already tequila makes us crazy. We're right in the front row for that one. Yes, we're riding a bicycle to Boston right now for that game for $100 million. Probably not a good
$100,000.
Yes,
but I'm gonna back off that now. I'm gonna be the responsible adult here, and I would take the $40,000. But you know that if you take the $40,000 and then it ends up happening, and you would have won $100,000.
Yeah, but you can't. I mean, in gambling, you can't.
You can't look at it that way.
For somebody that had the Alias Vegas chip and lived there for 3 years, I know you cannot look at every game. I've seen the worst. I watched a guy who, typical New Yorker, who was sitting there at the, and why I say typical New Yorker, he was extremely loud and yelling and letting everybody know that his game was more important than everybody else.
It.
One thing you learn about a sports book, it's like, I'm going to put an analogy like this. If you go to get your hair cut, and you need a haircut, and Jordan and I both have dues going on that we go get a haircut, but if you go get a haircut, or you got 15 women in there getting a haircut, do you think the other woman in there really truly care about the other haircuts or just theirs and how they look at the end of the day?
Just theirs.
Just theirs. You might talk or you catch up. Yeah, I think it's funny when you're having one of those days where you just really want a good wash, and there's nothing better than to just get a hair. Will they massage your head? Oh,
they got those little sinks with the dip in the middle. You just lay back, take a nap.
The $39.99 shampoo you don't buy. I buy the $1.99 top of cream or whatever it is on there. The V, whatever it's called, V something. Suave.
Yeah.
I get the stuff. If it's $3 or less, that's what I'm getting to wash my hair. It's fine. It'd be a shocker. Look, I'd be a good ad. I got a nest up here for that money. But at the same time, when you look at this, nobody in that haircut place cares about anyone else's hair. You might talk to the people, but you just care about your hair. It's like a sports book. You might feel for the person that has $100,000 riding on a game, but you don't care. You just care about your money and winning. So this guy's up front making sure that the other 100, I think it was about 500 people in the Bellagio that day, were very casual. They had nice places, and you spent $20, you got free drinks. So I'm sitting there, I'm watching the game. That's where I used to go. We would go to the Bellagio, and we're sitting there. And because if you won, it was a lot nicer to watch that waterfall. It was really fun. If you lost, you just went home, parking garage. But if you won, you're like, look at the multicolor. Everybody's cheering. I'm like, that's $500 cheering right here. But looking at that moment right there, I remember sitting there, and this guy's screaming, "Yo, listen, about to get about 200 G's, baby." And who knows? He might have had a $30 ticket. But he's screaming. It was a Dallas Cowboy New York Giant game, and it was right before halftime. So he has this ticket, and he's let everybody know because he thought he was going to win. The Giants have the ball, and it was a halftime bet where he had the Giants at a pick. Giants were up 6 and had the ball with 3 seconds left and were about to kick a field goal. So the Giants are about to go up 9. At worst case, he shanks the kick. They go up 6, and everybody goes to the locker room. What he wasn't, and his extremely yelling and a couple of Bloody Marys deep, what he wasn't thinking was the Dallas Cowboys block the kick and run it back 88 yards with 0 seconds left before half and make the extra point. And Dallas goes up 21-20 at halftime. That $100,000 or whatever he was making up is completely ruined. And that guy went from very loud Tony to quickly a little bit quieter. And everybody felt a little bit, but a lot of people wanted to rag on this guy. And at that point, you realize that anything can happen. I realize that, but I hope he realized that, you know what, if you're going to gamble, that's going to happen. You're going to hit green once in a while on the roulette wheel. You're going to be able to have 17 and hit and get a 4 once in a while on blackjack.
Right, yeah.
But at the same time, you just have to realize that it can happen. And in this case right here, I would just take the money. And if you have a chance to walk up positive with $40,000 as a casual salesman, Jordan, I'd take it.
Yeah, I would take it too. I know. I said I'd take 100,000 earlier, but you got to take
even as the Bruins are the favorites in the series. That's the thing too. The Bruins are the better team going into the series, so that's another part. This isn't Duke playing against George Mason in the Final Four.
Right.
This isn't UCF going up against Alabama, where if Alabama wins, it's a miracle. I'm just playing with the opposite. Let's end on that note. Jordan, you should have never made that comment. We're coming back for more right here in the Sports Drive.
ESPN Pensacola has you covered from the national and local levels. From Golick and Wingo to the Sports Drive, the Paul Feinbaum Show to talk football with Coach K, we have it all. It's the latest and best in sports talk radio, making us Pensacola's hometown sports network. ESPN Pensacola 94.5, also on HD Radio at HD2 98.7 WYCT, and streaming online at our website at ESPNpensacola.com.
We have a job to do out here today.
To be a winning team, you have to work like a winning team.
My team depends on me.
And my team is 50,000 strong.
This is the Action Team. High school students and Major League Baseball players working together to train and inspire the next generation of volunteers.
I'm LaTroy Hawkins.
I'm Craig Kimbrell, and we're on the team.
The Action Team.
Are you in? Our team is the Action Team. Get in on the action at actionteam.org. Are you in?
What if people had a battery level icon? Like on your phone? You'd see a lot of us in need of a recharge. Thank goodness there's 5-Hour Energy. Because just one sugar-free, vitamin-packed 5-Hour Energy shot can get you all the way back to 100% fast. And isn't life better at 100%? 5-Hour Energy. Get back to 100%. For more information, visit 5hourenergy.com.
To give batters a different look, pitchers throw a changeup.
Your idea of a different look is sunglasses.
That's true. But La Quinta Inns and Suites is really taking the different look thing to a new level.
Definitely a major league makeover, starting with a bolder, brighter lobby full of comfortable spaces to let you settle in.
Or chill out in front of a big flat screen like Wingo would.
Oh, you know it. It's a changing La Quinta look to help you get in the zone and look sharp when you hit that big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com.
Hear ye,
hear ye. I bringeth thee a message from... a message from the king and his new trumpeter, Stephen. The king wishes me to convey his favor to thine team and thine tailgate. Not yet. He invites thee to let the Bud Light flow forth. And he also wishes me to tell thee that he toasts thee. Waiteth until the end, Stephen! With game day's favorite light lager and the slogan of his kingdom. Oh, dilly dilly. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, AB, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hey there, I'm a glue stick, so I have one job. I glue kid stuff. So sorry for being jealous of Geico, who does a ton more, like give you 24/7 access to thousands of licensed agents. And Geico has been around for over 75 years and has a 97% customer satisfaction rating. While I've just got mediocre adhesive skills, Geico also has an award-winning mobile app. Uh-oh, arts and crafts time. No eating the glue stick, Miss Lydia!
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Welcome back. Just let that music cruise. 3 more minutes. No, I'm just we're excited.
Like a knockoff Hotel California.
Yeah. Sometimes during the show, though, it gets to the point. We're always happy to be here with y'all. Appreciate ESPN Pensacola 945. But usually in the last 4 or 5 minutes of the show, as you get ready and set after you've been here for throughout the day, it gets to the point where you start thinking. I'll get a text from my wife. She got like a amazing crock pot chicken, and not like the normal, but like the cream cheese.
Yeah.
And, all out. The chilies that, not the healthy kind, the kind I like.
Right.
The one that you take a whole thing of Fritos and you just eat the crap out of it. And she'll text a picture of that, or my daughter made me some collage. I'm excited to see at home. Some finger painting. One like Jean. You get from a guy like Jason Pierre-Paul with the turkey gobbler with the little short. I'm just playing. But at the same time, he's having a rough. He got in another wreck, so we'll leave off him. No more JPP jokes. But at this point, it's 2 minutes left of the show, and we get to that point where you sort of just are, ready to go. Yeah. So that music right there, I'd have been fine kicking back for a couple more. But let's get to a couple headlines real quick, since we do have the time, and I'm wasting it for the people. Right now, it looks like KD will miss Game 1. DeMarcus Cousins questionable. Jordan, for the people out there saying, are you a better team without Kevin Durant? Why don't you just go ahead and jump off a cliff? I'm just kidding. But at the same time, what you need to realize is they're not a better team with the guy that was averaging 35 points a game and dominating.
Right.
Can they still win it without it? That, to me, says less about the NBA and not as much about Kevin Durant.
4 words. Steph Curry, Steve Kerr.
Yes.
That's all you need to know.
And Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, and their team's still good. So don't worry. Saying that the other teams, Toronto's not a great team, this team would have got swept by Jordan too. They're not going to get swept, but they'll lose. Guys, enjoyed the show. Rob Bramlett, Bill Buckner, Bart Starr, all the folks out there who have passed. Thoughts and prayers go out to that. Memorial Day, thank you for your services. Jordan, have a great run. God bless. Enjoy your time.
This is Pensacola's hometown.